Why is the katana blade held by one pin? Surprisingly, the blade of the Japanese katana sword is connected to the handle with only one pin called mekugi that is made from bamboo. Why didn't they use stronger material like metal, or just fully connect the blade and the handle? Interestingly, there was a time when metal pins were used. However, they soon realized that a strong impact would cause the blade to deform or the pin to get stuck. Bamboo, which is hard, flexible, and very easy to obtain in Japan, was the best material for it. During the Sengoku era, it is believed that the samurai always carried a few extra mekugi pins that they made themselves. But why didn't they just stick the blade to the handle permanently? It is because if you perform maintenance on the katana, you must remove the handle and all the ornaments to do so. The katana were originally items dedicated to God, and carrying them with you meant you are a noble warrior. From the centuries-old katana still in beautiful condition, you can understand how important the katana swords were for Japanese people. Do you need a license to own a katana? No, you don't need any special license to own a katana. This is because by laws in Japan, katana are regarded as pieces of art instead of weapons. However, each katana will have something called the Juho Tokenrui Torokusho, which is a kind of a registration certificate. The katana and its certificate must always be kept together. If you have a katana that doesn't have this registration certificate, there is a risk you will violate the Jutoho. You must immediately report to police and follow their instructions and either re-register the katana or dispose of it. However, if the katana is just a replica, like these Iaido or Mozoto, you don't need any certificates because they're not sharp. I sometimes receive questions asking, can I buy a katana in Japan and take it home? This depends on the laws in your country, and these laws tend to change very easily. For example, if a terrorist act happens. What is the tsuba guard for? The tsuba are these ring guards that are on the katana handles. There are actually 4 main reasons for this small round piece of metal. The blade is of course heavier than the handle, so the metal tsuba functions as a weight balance. Second, when you stab with a katana, the tsuba will prevent your hand from accidentally slipping towards the blade. Third, you can use the tsuba to smoothly draw the sword by pushing it with your thumb. Lastly, there are hundreds of designs for tsuba, and they each have a meaning to wish for victory on the battlefield and prosperity of your family. By the way, you might have seen some katana that don't have a tsuba, but these are called Aikuchi Goshirai, and they are a proper design. It is mainly seen on tanto short daggers, and the main purpose was to make it easier to carry around. Which way should the handle face? Left or right? The handle was faced to the right during the war eras to be able to react to sudden attacks, but today it should face the left side to show peace and respect. During the times of war, the katana were commonly placed on the racks with the handle on the right side, so that the samurai can immediately take his sword and draw it with his right hand in emergency situations. However, in a peaceful era like today, it should be faced towards the left because of 2 reasons. 1. To keep the side where the mei is engraved on the inside of the handle shown to the front. 2. To show they do not have any hostility towards others. If you were to place a daisho together on a rack, you should keep the shorter on the top and longer on the bottom. This is because when you equip 2 swords, you equip the shorter one first. However, today, as you can see from these pictures of katana shops, it is more common to keep the longer one on top for better balance and design. How are katana named? Many people misunderstand that the famous names, such as Masamune and Muramasa, are the names of an individual katana, but these are actually the names of the swordsmiths that have made them. However, there are some cases of famous katana with special nicknames based on who owned it, who or what it cut, etc. For example, the katana that was made by the swordsmith Kanemitsu and was owned by Uesugi Kenshin is called Kenshin Kanemitsu, and a katana with the legend of cutting a stone lantern is called Ishidoro Kiri. And another katana made by Masamune, dedicated to Tokugawa Ieyasu from the No family Kanze, is called Kanze Masamune. Many of these katana are registered as national treasures. These katana names, or mei in Japanese, are engraved on the metal part inside the handle called nakago. By the way, not every katana is named, and there are many that have nothing written on it. Why are katana curved? The curves of the katana, called sori in Japanese, are meant for an effective cut with less force. With any kind of blade, you must either push or pull in order to cut something. You don't always smash your kitchen knife on your ingredients, right? So the curve of the katana automatically makes the blade draw an arc when it's swung, allowing for the swing to become stronger and more effective. Also, the curve moves the center of balance closer to the handle of the katana, making the katana lighter when swinging. By the way, depending on the era and fighting style, there are mainly 6 types of katana curves, as you can see in this picture. Before the Muromachi period, the curve tended to start from the stem. However, after that time, most Japanese swords were curved near the tip rather than the center of the blade. What are hamon for? The hamon are these wave patterns on the blade. While many people believe it's just for beauty, it also has a practical meaning of making the blade itself sharper. In the last half of the katana making process, the swordsmith will apply soil on the blade where the hamon will appear, in order to make the cutting edge stronger when it's tempered and quenched. This soil is made by mixing clay with charcoal and whetstone powder, and this mixture is a secret for each swordsmith. The value of the katana itself depends on the quality of the hamon, so it is a very important part of the sword making process. These are some of the major kinds of hamon, but there are many more. If you're willing to visit a museum or buy a katana someday, it'll surely be better to decide what your favorite hamon is in advance. Odachi and Nodachi, what are the differences? Conclusions first. 1. Odachi is simply a long sword in general, while Nodachi is meant to be used on the battlefield. 2. Odachi is longer than Nodachi. Odachi and Nodachi were very long katana that were mainly used on horseback from the Kamakura to the Sengoku era. It was meant for the samurai to appeal their strength and bravery, which was thought of as something honorable for a samurai at that time. However, the definition of Odachi and Nodachi are not clearly defined, and there is no correct answer. For example, depending on the researcher or study, the term katana can represent 5 to 9 types of swords. It might be useful to remember though that O of Odachi simply means big, while No of Nodachi means wild, vulgar. So I personally understand that Odachi is a general term for a very long katana, and Nodachi is a kind of Odachi that was meant to be actually used in battle. What are Shirasaya for? Shirasaya are the wooden sheath for preserving a katana by preventing the blade from rusting. You might have seen characters in anime and video games using katana that have white wooden handles and sheaths. They are called Shirasaya, which are made from unprocessed wood for the purpose of preserving the katana. The steel of the katana are actually quite vulnerable to humidity, which causes it to rust. However, the regular sheaths are coated with lacquer, which makes it airtight and accelerates rust. This is why Shirasaya that controls the humidity is used for long-term preservation, and it was definitely not for fighting because it is not durable for swinging. However, even if you keep the blade inside the Shirasaya, you still have to maintain the blade once in a while. You also need to preserve the Shirasaya with care because it often changes its shape due to humidity, sometimes resulting in the blade getting stuck or not fitting in the scabbard until the end. Naginata versus Yari, what are the differences? Conclusions first. 1. The shape of the blade at the end. 2. When they were used. 3. How they were used. Naginata has a curved blade on the tip of a long handle, while the Yari has a straight tip. Naginata was mainly used from the Heian to the early Muromachi period, when warriors were fighting duels on horseback, and Yari became more commonly used in battle from the late Muromachi period, when warriors started to fight in groups on land. Naginata was meant to swing around and slash to fight, but this was not suitable when people fought in groups. So that's why the Yari mainly for stabbing became the mainstream. By the way, the transition from individual duels to wars in groups happened due to Japan experiencing the Mongolian invasions. They realized that they wouldn't be able to resist another international war if they didn't immediately apply the tactics of fighting in groups. The warriors that learned these new methods of fighting will eventually start the 250-year-long Civil War era.